What if the opponent controls the key squares first? Have you ever wondered what happens when your opponent gets to the key squares first in a king and pawn endgame? This situation can be quite challenging and can significantly impact the outcome of the game. Let's break down what this means and how it affects your strategy. In king and pawn endgames, key squares are specific squares that, if occupied by your king, allow you to promote your pawn successfully. If your opponent controls these squares first, they have a strong advantage. Their king can block your pawn's advance and prevent your king from reaching those vital squares. When your opponent occupies the key squares, your chances of promoting your pawn diminish. Without your king's support, your pawn becomes vulnerable. The opponent's king can easily capture or block it before it reaches the promotion square. This means you need to be extra cautious about how you advance your pawn. Another consequence of your opponent controlling the key squares is that they can maintain the opposition. This is a strategic position where the two kings face each other with one square in between. If your opponent has the opposition, it makes it tough for your king to move forward without risking capture. You might find yourself in a position where you have to push your pawn prematurely. If your king cannot access the key squares, you may feel pressured to advance the pawn without adequate support. This can lead to your pawn being captured or even a stalemate situation. If the opponent firmly controls the key squares, your position may become weaker. You might end up in a draw or even lose the game as they can keep your king out of play. So, what can you do if you find yourself in this situation? First, try to prevent your opponent from occupying the key squares early on. Maneuver your king to control these squares before they do. If your opponent has already taken control, look for opportunities to force them to move away. Using tactics like opposition or zugzwang can help you regain access to those key squares. Sometimes, the best move is to keep your king behind your pawn. This way, you can wait for your opponent to make a mistake. Lastly, if you realize that progress is impossible, it may be wise to aim for a draw instead of risking a loss by overextending. In summary, if your opponent controls the key squares first, your ability to promote the pawn is significantly limited. Understanding the importance of key squares can help you navigate king and pawn endgames more effectively.